a guy who's listening, who's unmarried, could be divorced, could just be single, and now is going to get married, how to make that, or is going to get married someday, how to make that part of the conversation that like before getting married, you figure out, like, are we going to have kids? Are we not going to have kids? Where do we want to live? You talk about all that stuff. Too often they don't talk about money. How would you have either the single woman or the single man put on the table early that at some point we need to be talking about all this financial stuff, from credit scores to, whose house are we going to move into, and are we going to rent the other house? Are we going to, to get all of that on the table? How would you recommend that either the woman or the man surface that in the relationship prior to getting married?
So it's always so much deeper than the money itself, right? So I know that when Tim and I got married 20 years ago, we had gone through, our church was offering an opportunity for people to come and have a conversation right around money.
We did that too. Yep.
And so that certainly was great, and it helped us get on the same page. The other aspect of that, I think, is diving a little bit deeper and willing to be vulnerable. And what I mean by that is, David Bach has a book called Smart Women Finish Rich. And in that book, right, he takes people through an exercise and basically says, well, and you could do this with, your spouse, partner, friend, if you don't have somebody on the horizon, but what you do is you tee up, what about money is important to you? And then you take that answer and you say, well, because every study we read, right, says, well, security is important to women. Well, okay, but what does that mean, right? Like, it's so much deeper than just security. So if we say, hey, so what Tim and I did was we were in the car, and I said, okay, we're going to do this exercise because I'm encouraging my clients to do it. And so guess what? We get to do it. And I was thinking, oh yeah, okay, well, I'm going to do it, but we'll see if this really actually works. Right. And I was skeptical. So what happened was I said, okay, I'm going to ask you a question and then we'll just kind of dive deeper. So I said, what about money is important to you? And he says, responsibility or whatever. Okay, well, what about responsibility? Anyways, I keep asking the question and you replace that money with whatever their answer was.
Yes.
And about 5 questions in, how you know that you've tapped into the core of what's important is you get either an emotional response, or you think, okay, that's it. Like, you just have the sense of peace, like that's it, right? And what I found for him was 5 questions in, all of a sudden I get an emotional response from him. And we're driving our kids to like the water park or whatever. And I look over, I was like, no way, like serious. And for him, it was very spiritual in a sense that I want to know that at the end of my life, God's going to say, good job, well done.
Well done, good and faithful servant.
That's right. That's right. And so I was like, wow, okay, so now I know what motivates him, right? Like, it's, he wants to be able to set up philanthropy, giving, whatever. Like, I knew that early on, right? Then on the flip side, right, because like women are so, well, in my case, it's like all these layers, right? Like super complicated, whatever. So he just keeps asking questions, right? 15 questions later, I said, I want to know that I've used all of the gifts, talents to the best of my ability, and I have no regrets at the end. So what started out as a conversation around money now became, and if we would have stopped, well, Rhonda just really wants security, I think we're missing the mark.
Yeah.
And so we've got to take the time to have those emotional conversations around money and invest in having some of those uncomfortable conversations. But once we know what motivates the other person, we now know, my husband supports my business. Why? Because he understands, right, what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Yes.
And then when I work super long hours, when you first start your business and you're working 15 hours and it's kind of crazy and he's having to pick up the slack, he gets it, right? Yes. And on the flip side, the same thing, right? So that would be my suggestion is, just find a quiet spot and have some of those conversations. It doesn't have to be creepy or overly serious, but just, do that exercise and see kind of where that takes you.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, ring that bell, and by the way, make sure to share this video. I don't know if you know this, but my cyborg body runs 100% on YouTube views and likes. Please don't let our batteries die.